We continue now at the top of Daf Nun Ches Amud Aleph and Mesechet Sanhedrin. This is Sanhedrin Daf 58a. On the previous Amud, the Gemara brought the opinion of Rabbi Meir that any kind of arayis, which the death penalty would be administered to Jewish people, so that's the kind of arayis that Bnei Noach, that non-Jews, are warned against. That was Rabbi Meir's shita, and the Gemara is in the middle of asking a question on that. Is that really Rabbi Meir's shita? But we have a brisa that says as follows. Let's say there's a convert, Shahaisa Horaso Shalo B'Kedusha, that he was conceived Shalo B'Kedusha, meaning at the time of his conception, his mother was not Jewish, V'Leidaso B'Kedusha, but then when he was born, at that time already his mother had converted. That's Leidaso B'Kedusha. The point over here is that he was a convert. He's considered a convert as far as relatives. He's not considered to have any relatives in general when someone converts. If you have a Gershon Esgayer, Kekatan Shanola Dami, so he's like a minor that was just born, and he's not considered related halachically to any of his blood relatives. Rashi is going to point out, we will see Rashi is going to point out, this would be equally true. Let's say it was Horaso Shalo B'Kedusha and Leidaso Shalo B'Kedusha. In such a case also, the person then converts. Again, he has all of his blood relatives would not be considered halachic relatives. That's the point over here. So in such a situation, when you have this convert, Yeshlo She'er Ha'em, so he is considered to have relatives through his mother's side in terms of arayis, Ve'ein Lo She'er Ha'av, but in terms of paternal relatives, he's not considered to have those relatives halachically in terms of the prohibition of arayis. And the brisa continues, Haketzat how so? Nasa achoso min ha'em. For example, let's say he marries his sister from his mother's side, his maternal sister. So Yotzi, then he has to divorce her. That's not allowed. But min ha'av, but from the father's side, Yikayim, that marriage is allowed to be maintained. Achos ha'av min ha'em. Let's say it's the sister of the father. That's the maternal sister. Yotzi, again, since it's maternal, he has to divorce her. But min ha'av, but if it's paternal, Yikayim, then he maintains that marriage. Achos ha'em min ha'em. If it's the sister of his mother, maternal sister, Yotzi, so then he has to divorce. Achos ha'em min ha'av. Now, what if it's the sister of his mother and it's a paternal sister, but it's through his mother's side, so it kind of is maternal? So there we have a machlokus. Rabbi Meir omer Yotzi, v'chachamim omer Yikayim. Rabbi Meir says in that case he has to divorce her. The chachamim say he can maintain that marriage. Shahay Rabbi Meir omer, because Rabbi Meir says kol erva shehi mishum she'er aim, any kind of arayis which is connected maternally, Yotzi, he has to divorce, mishum she'er ha'av, but if it's mishum she'er ha'av, if it's paternal, so then Yekayim, then he can maintain that. And Rashi explains, Shehoraso Shalo B'Kedusha, again, the case is he was conceived not B'Kedusha while his mother was not Jewish. V'chol Gershon Eskayer Kekotan Shanolad Achsha Below Av Vo'em Ukrovim Dami. The halach is, anytime you have a ger who converts, that's just like a minor who was just born without a father, without a mother, without any relatives. It's considered essentially a person without any halachic relatives. Ve'ein olav kurva mikodem lachen. He has no relatives before that point in time. Umiyu, now the point over here in this brisa is as follows. Nevertheless, even though he has no relatives, and now he's considered basically like a convert, so he should be able to marry all of these relatives of his. He should be able to marry his mother, etc. Umiyu rabbonan hu degazar aleh b'chol ha'asuros lo bigayuso rather. The rabbonan say that anything that he would have been prohibited to marry, any arayis that would have been considered arayis while had he been a non-Jew, so he continues to maintain those prohibitions. Mishum shelo yomer, because otherwise we don't want people to say boin mikdusha chamura l'kdusha kala, that by converting to Judaism, so now actually it's less holiness, because now he's allowed to engage in all of these arayis that he wasn't allowed to engage in before. That's essentially what the brisa is saying. What the brisa is saying is that technically speaking, when someone converts to Judaism, so all of his blood relatives are not really halachic relatives, and now all of those arayis become mutter. But then people are going to end up saying, oh, so when you convert to Judaism, so now there's a bunch of arayis that are prohibited as a non-Jew, suddenly they're permitted as a Jew. That would be something we wouldn't want people to say, and so therefore the point of the brisa is all arayis that are prohibited to non-Jews continue on a d'Rabbanan level to be prohibited to this individual. And Rashi continues, Hilkach, therefore, nasa achoso min ha'em, if he marries his sister from his mother's side, meaning to say his half-sister, his maternal sister, shenolda kodem sheneskai ima, this sister would have been born before his mother converted, v'neskai im ima, and she converted together with the mother, v'nasa zem mishagadol, and this person, he marries her when he gets older, yotzi, so he has to divorce her, the achoso, because that's considered his sister, v'lo garami ben noach, he can't be any less than a ben noach, this would be prohibited to a ben noach, umi d'Rabbanan shelo yomer v'chulu, again, again, it's midrabanan, as we said above, people shouldn't say that by converting he has less concern with arayas. To kasav Rabbi Meir, because the point over here is that Rabbi Meir holds achoso min ha'em asur levnei Noach, his sister from his mother's side, his maternal sister. That's a prohibition for bnei Noach. Va'afilu achos aviv min ha'em, and that's even true. Let's say the sister of his father, that's a maternal sister. Va'achos imo min ha'em. The Mesoras Hashas changes it from ha'av to ha'em. That's also true of the sister of his mother min ha'em. V'yolif lan. This is all learned out. Me'al ken yazov ish as aviv es imo. It's learned out from the pasuk of al ken yazov ish, that a person is going to leave his father and his mother to get married, and we darshan that to mean do aviv ze achos aviv. When it says in the pasuk aviv, it means the sister of his father. Ve'imo ze achos imo. When it says his mother, it means the sister of his mother. Kedadarish le Rabbi Eliezer lekaman b'shmaitin, like Rabbi Eliezer is going to darshan as we go on in the sugya. Min ha'av yikayim, and then it said that if it's from the father's side, if it's paternal, that marriage can be maintained. The lo neser iser achva b'vnei Noach, because you don't have that kind of, that's not prohibited for b'nei Noach. Elam min ha'em, it's only going to be prohibited when you have sibling type of arayas. That's only prohibited if it's maternal. Techsib, because it's written v'gam omna achosi bas avihi ach lo bas imi. That's what it says in the pasuk. She's my sister bas avi, the daughter of my father, and not the daughter of my mother. That was a way of saying that it's permitted. Alma bas av shar yilhu. You see that the daughter of the father is permitted for them. Ubas ha'em lo shar yilhu, but the daughter of the mother was not permitted for them, from them. So you see that it's maternal when it comes to arayas by bnei Noach. Achos aviv min ha'em yotzi. Let's say it's the sister of his father, and it's the maternal sister that he has to divorce her. Kedechsiv, that's from the pasuk, like it's written. Al ken yazav ish es aviv v'darshinan es aviv achos aviv min ha'em. We darshan when it says es aviv in the pasuk, it means the sister of his father from the mother's side. Achos eim min ha'em yotzi, and also the sister of his mother from his mother's side he has to divorce. Kedechsiv es imo zu achos imo min ha'em, like the pasuk says. Es imo means the sister of his mother, that's maternal. And Rashi continues, Rabbi Meir Omer Yotzi. Again, this was a machlokus between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. That's talking about in a situation where it's the sister of the mother, but we're talking about the paternal sister of the mother. Gezeira misham achoso min ha'em. So the reason why Rabbi Meir says we have to be strict there, he makes a gezeira. Let's say you have a sister that's actually from the mother, that's maternal, so he makes a gezeira by the paternal one as well. Dekevan the shem tzad shereim ha'em kan, since there is some maternal side to this, afagav de min ha'av, even though it really is min ha'av, isharis lay, but if you do permit it, asilamemar ein lager afilu shereim, people are going to think that for a ger, there isn't a concern even for the relatives to the mother's side. V'yasi lemishra afilu achosu min ha'em, and they're going to end up saying that even his sister from the mother's side is permitted, which is not true. V'kol sheken achos imo v'achos avim min ha'em, and they're for sure going to think that when it comes to the sister of his mother, the sister of his father, that's maternal. V'chachamim omrim yekayim, the chacham say in that particular case, that marriage can be maintained. V'lo gazrim, we don't make such a gezerah. And Rashi points out, as we said above, Hu adin laho rasu v'leidaso shelo b'kedusha. What's being said in this brayso is true, even if he was conceived and born shelo b'kedusha, a regular situation of a ger, of a convert, this would be true as well. V'hadin nakat ho rasu shelo b'kedusha v'leidaso b'kedusha. And that which the brayso is specifically talking about, somebody who was conceived shelo b'kedusha, but when he was born already, his mother had converted, he was born b'kedusha. Lo balim ute ho rasu v'leidaso shelo b'kedusha. We're not coming to exclude a case where he was conceived and born shelo b'kedusha. Again, that would be treated exactly the same. What we're really coming to exclude in the brisa is, let's say he was conceived and he was born b'kedusha, because in such a situation, since he's similar to a regular Yisrael, there we'd actually go further. Gazer bei Rabbi Meir, there Rabbi Meir would make a gezerah even further. Maybe you're going to confuse him with just a regular Jewish person. And there we would say that he's prohibited even with the paternal relatives. Even if they were born while he was non-Jewish, meaning they were born earlier. Let's say you have these relatives that were born before there was any conversion in the family. So again, technically in such a situation, by a case of horaso v'leidaso b'kedusha, that particular person would not be arayas, because that person again was born at the time that there was no conversion whatsoever. This was an earlier born relative, but there already he's dami leili Yisrael. He's similar to just a regular Jewish person, and therefore we would say all the arayas that apply to a Yisrael apply to this individual. And the brisa continues, this individual umutter be'eshes achiv u've'eshes achi aviv, this individual is going to be mutter to marry the wife of his brother or the wife of the brother of his father. Ushar kol arayas mutaros lo, and all other arayas, they're all going to be mutter to him. Leisuye eshes aviv, that comes to include the wife of his father. Nasa isha uvita, let's say he marries a woman and her daughter. So kones achas umotzi achas, so he can marry one of them, but he has to divorce one of them. He can't be married to both the mother and the daughter at the same time. Ulechatchila lo yichnos, lechatchila he shouldn't marry in this fashion. Mesa Ishto, let's say his wife dies, mutter bechamoso, he's mutter to be with his mother-in-law, to marry his mother-in-law. V'yikad there are those that say, aser bechamoso, he's forbidden to be with his mother-in-law. And Rashi explains, Umutter be'eshes achiv, he's allowed to marry the wife of his brother, ve'afilu me'imo, even if this is his maternal brother. Uliachar misa, we're talking about a situation after the brother died. Ve'afilu nasa achiv mishenes gayer, even let's say the brother got married after there was already this conversion. O nasa keshukusi, or let's say he married her when this person was not Jewish, umishenes gayer kaima, but then after the conversion he continues to be married to her. The point is, de'ein eshes ach livnei Noach. The point is that when it comes to bnei Noach, there is no prohibition of the wife of the brother, and so therefore there's no concern Shema Yomru that people will say that by being Jewish he has less restrictions. That's why Eishes Achiv is permitted. V'chein Eishes Achiav, and the same is true by the wife of the brother of his father. V'chein Kol Habos Machmas Ishas, and the point really here is anything that's through marriage is going to be permitted. To Kevon and to Shema Yomru Lekalamechash, because once there's no concern that people are going to say that by being Jewish he has less restrictions than when he was a Ben Noach, to Kasavar Lo Nasru Livnei Noach, because again he holds that there is no prohibition. These are not prohibited to Bnei Noach. And we're not worried about being related, because again, as a convert, he's considered kekatan shenolad. He's like a newborn, and he's not considered to have these as halachic relatives. And again, all other kinds of arayas that come through marriage are going to be mutter to him. That comes to include the wife of his father. Rashi says when it comes to his daughter-in-law, or when it comes to the sister of his wife, lekal l'ribuye, so that we can't include. Because here we're talking about a situation again where this was a convert who, when he was born, already at that point in time, it was b'kedusha, his mother had already converted. So therefore this person really had no wife except at a time when he was already Jewish. And also to include the sister of his wife also, that also would not be permitted, because it says again, if he married a woman and her daughter, that's not allowed for him. The same would be true by two sisters. The point over here is, anything that's going to come through his marriage, here we're talking about a situation where he got married, and of course at that point in time when he was married, he was Jewish, so any of those arayas that come through that, like his daughter-in-law, like the sister of his wife, etc., all of those are going to be a problem. Nasa ishovita, then it said again, if he marries a woman and her daughter, he can't be married to both at the same time. Rashi points out, Ashar Gerim Koi Kishanasam Vinisgairu Imo. This would go by any situation, doesn't have to be a situation like our situation of Horasa Shalo Bikadusha, Ledasa Bikadusha. This could go on any convert. If he marries them and then they're all going to convert together, then this is going to be a problem to stay married to this woman and her daughter. Inami Hakoi, Rashi says, or you could say we are going on our case over here. And again, the point is that these women, they converted, and the same would be true by a Jewish person. Let's say he's a Yisrael Gomer and he's married to these people who converted. Again, talking about a woman and her daughter, he shouldn't be married to both at the same time. He can't do this. So it says over there in Yavamas that we're going on all of the cases that we said before that he's allowed to maintain that marriage. What the Brisa means to say is, even if it's a marriage that's allowed to be maintained, he should not do this marriage. And finally, the Brisa said, Mesa ishto mutter bechamos, if his wife dies, so then he can marry his mother-in-law. Even though he was married to his wife from after the time of his conversion, to Ben Noach lehuzar al chamoso, because again, at Ben Noach there is no warning against being with his mother-in-law, denema boy mikadusha v'chulu, and so therefore you're not going to have that concern that people will say that by becoming Jewish he has less arayas to be concerned with. V'chamoso mamish lo have, and again we're talking here about a situation where it's not his actual mother-in-law. Alpha gavdinis gairu, even though they converted, we're talking about the fact that his wife and the mother-in-law converted to Gershon is Gayer, because again, once they convert, they're not considered relatives halachically. Vein krovos zelazeh, they're not considered to be relatives. But some say that he is prohibited to his mother-in-law. Hasam afarish b'mai pligi, over there they explain what exactly the machlokas is. What's the point of bringing this whole brisa? Katani mihas. Nevertheless, what does it say over here? Mutter be'eshes aviv. It says over here that he's allowed to be with the wife of his father. V'afa b'shebezin shel Yisrael memisin olah. Even though this is something that a Jewish bezin would administer the death penalty over. V'chein b'chamoso, and the same is true with his mother-in-law. V'katani aser b'achoso v'achosav v'achosimo, and it says that he's forbidden to be with his sister, the sister of his father, the sister of his mother. V'afa b'she'ein bezin shal Yisrael memisan aleim, and even though that's something that is not a punishment in a Jewish court of the death penalty, that's something that involves kares, but apparently it is a problem for Bnei Noach, and so therefore it's a question on Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir over here seems to not be going by whether there's a death penalty or not. Again, Rabbi Meir said on the previous Amud that anytime there's a death penalty in the Jewish court, that's what the Bnei Noach, that's what they're warned against, but over here, it doesn't seem to be following that rule. And so the Gemara continues and answers, Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda says, Lokash is not difficult. Ha Rabbi Meir alibad Rabbi Eliezer. In one case, Rabbi Meir is following Rabbi Eliezer's shita. V'ha Rabbi Meir alibad Rabbi Akiva. And in the other case, Rabbi Meir is following Rabbi Akiva's shita. The Tanya, as we learned in a Brayso, Al Ken Yazav Ish Es Aviv Esimo. Again, the pasuk says that a man should therefore leave his father and his mother, and he should get married to a woman. And again, that's in Parshas Bereshis. That's talking about a commandment to the Bnei Noach. And we learn from over here what is considered arayos for the Bnei Noach. Rabbi Eliezer says, Aviv achos Aviv, when it says his father, it actually means the sister of his father. And Imo achos Imo, when it says his mother, it actually means the sister of his mother. Rabbi Akiva says, Aviv, no, when it says his father, it means Eishes Aviv. It means the wife of his father. And Imo, when it says his mother, it means Imo mamish, he's not allowed to be with his actual mother. V'davak, and then it says again, V'davak be'ishto, he should be with his wife. We learn from V'davak v'lo be'zachar, there we learn the prohibition that a man cannot be with a man when it comes to Bnei Noach, and be'ishto, when it says his wife, v'lo be'eshes chavero, from there we learn he can't be with the wife of his friend, he can't be with a married woman. V'hayu lebasar echad, they're going to be like one flesh. Mishanas and basar echad, it means he has to be with someone who he can be one together with. Yatsu behema v'chaya, that comes to exclude domesticated animals and wild animals. It comes to exclude bestiality. Bestiality for Bnei Noach is also considered arayos. Sheinas and basar echad, because that's not called basar echad when a person is with an animal. And Rashi explains, Rabbi Meir, again, in one case Rabbi Meir is following Rabbi Eliezer, in the other case Rabbi Meir is following Rabbi Akiva. Talmud shel shneim haya, because again Rabbi Meir was a student of both Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Akiva. Kedamrim Meseches Beya, like we say Meseches Beya, Gabi Litra Katzios, Rabbi Meir Omer Rabbi Eliezer, Owen Kilohen Predos, of Meseches Erevin Perakam Rabbi Meir Shimesh es Rabbi Akiva. We say in these various places, again Rabbi Meir was a student of Rabbi Eliezer and he was a student of Rabbi Akiva. Hadikatani achos asuralo ve'eshes aviv mutarislo. So what it means is as follows: when it says that when it comes to his sister, that's prohibited to him, and when it comes to the wife of his father, that is mutter. Meaning to say, here you have a situation where we're talking about achoso, which is really siblings, which is really in the category of kares, and so you see it doesn't go by the death penalty. That's in that brisa that we just brought. That's Rabbi Meir mishum Rabbi Eliezer. That's Rabbi Meir following Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer is the one that says that when it comes to achoso, that's prohibited, but eshes aviv would be mutter. And the brisa, which was in the previous Amud, which said according to Rabbi Meir that it goes by whether there's a death penalty in a Jewish court, that's prohibited for Bnei Noach. V'lo chai v'krisus, but not if there's kares according to the halacha by Jewish law. That's Rabbi Meir hi alibad Rabbi Akiva. That earlier brisa on the previous Amud, that's Rabbi Meir following Rabbi Akiva. And again, we learn from the pasuk of Al Ken Yazav Ishas Aviv Es Imo LaAdam Harishon Nemar. This pasuk was said to Adam Harishon. Achos Aviv, it means the sister of his father. Rashi points out, once we're already saying sister of his father is a problem, v'kol sheken achosa, certainly his own sister would be a problem. V'davak v'lo bezocher, again he has to cling to his wife, not to a male. Deleka dibuk, that's not called dibuk, that's not called clinging. D'mitoch shein hanishkav nene, because if the person who he's lying with is not getting pleasure, eino nidbak imo, that's not called clinging to him. Mishanasa lebasar echad, it has to be one flesh. Shezera yotze mehem, what that means is that you have to be able to have children. Shanasa besar ha'em v'av echad bo, that through the child, the flesh of the mother and the flesh of the father become one. Yatsu behema v'chaya, that comes to exclude an animal, she'ein yolden min ha'adam, because they can't give birth when they're together with a person. And Rashi continues, Hani de Rabbi Akiva kulu chayve misos ninu. All of the cases of Rabbi Akiva, they're all cases of the death penalty. And we know yolaf l'chol chayve misos, and we're really just going to learn from there all situations where there's a death penalty is asur for Bnei Noach. Avol Rabbi Eliezer less like korva deishas, but according to Rabbi Eliezer, the fact that you're related through marriage does not count. V'is like korva deachva, but he does hold that there is a relative again through being some kind of sibling that is considered the arayos. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar, the master said, we just said above, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Eliezer says, Aviv, that when it says in the pasuk of Al Ken Yazov Ish as Aviv as Imo, when it says Aviv, Achos Aviv, that means the sister of his father is prohibited. The Gemara says, Emo Aviv Mamish, why does he say that? Maybe we should say it means his actual father. The Gemara says, no, Hainu V'davak V'lo B'zachar. Well, that would already be included in V'davak, because a man cannot be with a man, so his father's a man. Emo Eishes Aviv, well, why not say that it means the wife of his father? But also, that would also be included. Hainu B'ishto V'lo B'eishes Chavera, that's already included in his wife and not the wife of someone else. But the Gemara still says, Emo La'achar Misa, but maybe what we're talking about is the wife of his father after his father dies. And the Gemara says to that, Dumya D'imo, no, when it says father in the pasuk, it has to be similar to mother in the pasuk. Ma'imo Delav Ishus, just like by his mother, it's not through marriage. Af Aviv Delav Ishus, so too by his father, it's not going to be through marriage, and that's how we understand that it's the sister of his father. Imo Achos Imo, then we said that it's his mother, it means the sister of his mother. Ve'emo Imo Mamish, well, why don't we say that it means his actual mother? The Gemara says, Hainu B'ishto V'lo B'eshes Chaver, well, his mother's married, so that would be included in his wife and not the wife of his friend. But the Gemara still says, Ve'emo La'achar Misa, but maybe what it means is La'achar Misa, meaning to say again, you're talking about his mother, but after his father already died, so now his mother is not married, it's not Eshes Chavero. Maybe that's what the pasuk means. And the Gemara says to that, no, Dumya Aviv, we say it's similar to what Aviv means in the pasuk. Ma Aviv Delav Mamish, just like father doesn't mean his actual father. Af Imo Delav Mamish, so too mother does not mean his actual mother. And that's why Rabbi Eliezer says that mother means the sister of his mother. And the Gemara continues, we said above, Rabbi Kiva says, Aviv Eshes Aviv, that Aviv means the wife of his father. And the Gemara asks, Ve'emo Aviv Mamish, maybe it means his actual father. And the Gemara says to that, Hainu V'davak V'lo B'zachar, again, that would already be learned out from V'davak, that he can't be with another man. But the Gemara says, Hihachi, if so, Eshes Aviv Nami, Hainu B'ishto V'lo B'eshes Chaveru, if it means the wife of his father, isn't that already included in the fact that he has to be with his wife and not with the wife of someone else? And the Gemara says, La'achar Misa, the Gemara says, well, we could be talking after death, meaning after his father died, still we would say Eshes Aviv, the wife of his father, is prohibited to him. And Imo Mamish, what does Imo mean according to Rabbi Akiva? It means his actual mother. The Gemara says, Hainu B'ishto V'lo B'eshes Chaveru, again, wouldn't that already be included? And he has to be with his wife and not the wife of someone else. His mother is married to his father. And the Gemara says, not necessarily, Imo Me'anu Sasu, it could be that it's his mother, but it could be that she was raped, and that's how he was born, and therefore she really is not married to his father, and that could be what the pasuk is saying. And the Gemara continues, well, what exactly are Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Eliezer arguing about? And the Gemara says, Rabbi Eliezer Savar, Rabbi Eliezer holds, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Nun Ches Amud Beis.